In the last couple of days, a number of suggestions have been made to me by people who say that they managed to resolve their own DMCA situations by filing counter notifications that did not compromise their personal safety. Whilst many of those will work, I'm not sure that I can really personally endorse them, because technically they would not be entirely kosher, not be entirely legal, or they would be breaking the YouTube terms of service. For example, one suggestion that was made very often was to make a counter notification using false details. Considering who you're dealing with, that may seem like quite a good tactic to use, because you're dealing with anonymous cowards who fire these DMCA notifications at you in the hope that they will destroy your channel with you, but who would not have the guts to follow this up with any sort of court action, nor would they have any leg to stand on, because their original DMCA claim is false to start with. So you fire your counter notification with false details in it, and that will most likely be the end of it. And you will get your video back, and everybody's happy. But it's technically illegal, and if a prosecutor were to get wind of it, somehow you might find yourself in a spot of trouble. Now that is very unlikely. What might be a bit more likely is that YouTube gets wind of it and terminates your account for violating the terms of service. On the other hand, of course, if you don't counter notify, if you just let the DMCA claim stand, you will have very quickly accumulated the 3 strikes that will anyway lead to the termination of your account. So weigh this risk for yourself, balance it for yourself and see what you think. It may well be that in your particular case it may be a good idea to file a counter notification with false information. But like I said, it's not something that I can endorse. Other people have found other creative solutions that apparently worked, like for example filing a counter notification with your real name, but declaring yourself willing to be served at somebody else's address. That seems to work as well. But have you really protected your privacy? You're still using your real name. And again, if you're putting in a false name, the same problem applies that I mentioned before. But these are all ideas that might work, and that might under certain circumstances be the best way to go and the easiest way to solve this problem for you anyway. So I would first of all ask people who have been through the mill and who have managed to resolve their own DMCA issues with creative solutions like this, to post video responses to this video and to tell us exactly how they did it. And I want to take these videos and mirror them all on the CensorTube channel, so that we've got a nice little central repository where people can see how to deal with false DMCAs and solve them. But in my case, I want to present a solution to this problem that is 100% legit and that will work. So this is the idea that I had, based on my own experiences, where I found a friend who was willing to take the risk of being held responsible for my videos. I made them a co-owner of my channel, and they posted the counter notification, and therefore, because they were now co-owners of my channel, the counter notification was completely legitimate because it contained their personal details and it protected mine. Of course, the biggest problem in this case is, where do we find people who are willing to do this for other people? And I've had some ideas of where we might be able to find such people. I'm sure, first of all, that there are some people here on YouTube who've had enough of it, who are so sick of seeing their friends and people that they like and admire being taken down by false DMCA notices, that maybe they are willing to take a little bit of personal risk in order to help these people out. There may be a few. So if you are one of these people, let me know. You may be the first people to enter what I'm going to call the YouTube network of trust. But there may be more people. What if you are, for example, a person who has already been served with a DMCA, who has already served a counter notification with your personal details in it, and who has had your docs dropped. You have nothing to lose, have you? The worst has already happened. Your docs are out there, your personal information is publicly known. It cannot get any worse. Given the fact that the worst for you has already happened, and that there is therefore no risk involved in you presenting your personal information to a false DMCA claimant, maybe you might like to help other people who find themselves in the same predicament as you found yourself in before, and prevent this happening to somebody else. So I'm asking those people who have been the victim of false DMCA attacks and who have had their documents dropped to consider joining the YouTube network of trust, helping other people not having to go through this, the same thing that you had to go through. And then of course you might want to think about who you know in your own environment who may be able to help, because you may be in a position where you wouldn't want your personal details to be publicized. Well, what about people in your environment? You may know, for example, a police officer or a teacher or somebody in a position of authority who is not that concerned with having their personal information known, or whose personal information is already out there anyway, in the same vein as the person whose docs have already been dropped. Free speech activists, do you know any? Make them aware of this problem, what's going on this side, and perhaps they might want to come and help us out here. If we establish a large enough group of people, we will be in a position that whenever a false DMCA is made against anybody, they will have somebody they can turn to and ask for help in this way. And they will then make sure that this gets wiped out as quickly as possible and the video gets restored as quickly as possible. Obviously, we are asking people to take a risk. Every time you ask somebody to co-own your channel and take responsibility to file a counter notification against a DMCA notification, they will want to be convinced that your claim that your video was completely legit is above board, is genuine. So don't be surprised if you turn to somebody in the YouTube network of trust and you ask them to help you out, that they will want to see your video first and make up their own mind, have a good hard look at it, see what they think themselves about your claim that it doesn't break any DMCA laws, copyright laws, and then they will tell you whether they will help you or not. Do not be offended if somebody in the YouTube network of trust turns around and says, "I'm not sure about this, I'm afraid I can't help you." Always remember that if you turn to somebody in this group, they will listen to you sympathetically, but that does not mean that they are taking upon themselves immediately the obligation to help you. That's the security we have to build in for those people who are willing to take this risk. And now all that remains for me is to ask of everybody out there, are you willing to join? Are you willing to help out in this way? And let's stamp out this evil once and for all.